Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadhari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajikacharya Sotara Sata Śrīmad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Yantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitagor Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5, Text 30. Nayasya kaschittatari mayam Yaya jano muyati vedanatram Tam niyatat atma gunam paresham Namama bhuteshu samama charantam Nayasya kachittatari mayam Yaya janamuyati vedanartam Tam nirjitatma gunam paresham Namam bhuteshu samam charantam Yati Ayutam Natam Nidatamam Gunan Bhaisham Namateshu Samama Chantam Shakati Tititadamayam Yaya Jano Muhi Jati Vedatam Natijatatmam Gunam Padesham Namama Bhuteshu Samama Vratam Ayashakachitititadamayam Yaya Jano Muhi Jati Vedavasham Atma Gunam Advaisham Namam bhuteshu samam charanatam. Ladies? Yajano muyati vedan martam. Yatad gunamad presham. Namam bhuteshu samam charantam. Na, not Yashya, of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kascha, anyone. Atitati, is able to overcome. Mayam, the illusory energy. Yaya, by whom? The illusory energy. Jana, people in general. Muyati, become bewildered. Veda, understand. Na, not. Artam, the aim of life. Tam, unto him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nijati, nijita, completely controlling. Atma, the living entities. Atmagunam, and his external energy. Paramisham, the Lord, who is transcendentally situated. Namama, we offer our respectful obeisances. Bhuteshu, unto all living beings. Samam, equally situated or equipoise. Charantam, controlling or ruling them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy, Maya, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense of understanding the aim of life. That same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone, who is equally disposed towards all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him. The purport. The prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu certainly controls all living entities, so much so that the living entities have forgotten the aim of life. Nate vidhu svartar gatim hi Vishnum. The living entities have forgotten that the aim of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. The external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all conditioned souls what appears to be an opportunity to be happy within this material world. But that is Maya. In other words, it is the dream that is never fulfilled. Thus every living being is illusioned by the external energy of the Supreme Lord. That illusory energy is undoubtedly very strong, but she is fully under the control of the transcendental person who is described in this verse as Paresham, the transcendental Lord. The Lord is not part of this material creation, but beyond creation. Therefore, not only does he control the conditioned souls through his external energy, but he also controls the external energy itself. Bhagavad Gita clearly says that the strong material energy controls everyone, and that getting out of her control is extremely difficult. That controlling energy belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and works under his control. The living entities, however, being subdued by the material energy, have forgotten the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhabhayeva Cha Patitunam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Maya Devi, she's incredibly strong. Translation again. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy, Maya, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. The same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone and who is equally disposed to all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him. The main part of that quote that Prabhupada has given here is the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all conditioned living entities, all souls, whatever appears to be an opportunity to be happy within this material world. Are we okay? I just have to have it a little bit down like that. It is a dream that is never fulfilled. The great Australian dream is never fulfilled. Material energy. What is the ultimate material dream that we want fulfilled? A better job, a better career. I want a better relationship. I dream that I can become wealthy. I become exceptionally famous. I want to be a rock star. These are all dreams that all of us, at some stage in our existence, have wanted. You know, we see someone like Taylor Swift, and we think, gee, it would have been nice if I was born like that and I had that opportunity. Just recently I watched the video of the Amati wedding. You couldn't have missed it. It was everywhere on YouTube. The wedding, the Amati, the very wealthy, and all the personalities that came. And they're all strutting in front of the cameras. Look at me, look at me. Fulfilling their dream. I finally get in front of the cameras. So fulfilling the dreams, but they're never fulfilled. You know? You have all these famous people that are presenting themselves at this wedding, but all of them are thinking, I wish I had the wealth that the Father has. I wish I had so much wealth as he's got. And but it's never enough. Material life is never enough. But the ultimate dream is the dream that most people want is they simply want to be loved. Let someone love me, materially love me. So let's talk a little bit today about that 4-letter word, love. Love is a very interesting thing in this material world. When we think of love, what's the first thing we think about? I mean, you know, romantic love. We feel about the heart, don't we? Oh, I feel the love in my heart. I remember when I was a young person, and you know, you would fall madly in love with a girl in the class. You know, so much so that you felt it in the heart region. And you have those sayings, you know, oh, you're in my heart. You know the poetry? You're in my heart. And when your girlfriend leaves you, oh, my heart is broken. It's always so tragic. There's so many songs. Hey, enough. Otherwise you have to go outside. So it's pretty understanding. Sorry, Mataji, but it's hard to concentrate. It's pretty understandable because really it's all a question of how your brain works. That's where it all goes on. It's not really in the heart region, it's in the brain. When you actually see an object of love, so-called love, your brain reacts. Did you know that? Your brain gives you like rewards. It fills you up with dopamine. Dopamine is a drug, and it makes you feel ecstatic. It makes you feel released. Oxytocin is another thing that the brain triggers to release. And you experience intense pleasure in the heart region. You actually feel it in the heart region, but it's these drugs that the brain produces. So this is a very common thing, even amongst other species of life. We've no doubt seen YouTube clips, or even in our life, where a lion looks after her cubs like a mother looks after, is so gentle, you know, or a little cat with the kittens, or a dog with puppies. They're loving that little baby of theirs. So often in our preaching, it's really interesting. Often in our preaching, you know, sometimes we're talking to someone about the unnatural situation of this material world, and that we actually should break out of this world. If you really want to be happy, you have to get out of this material world. And so often we used to have people that say, no, well, I'm happy. I said, yeah, but surely there was a time in your life that there was some tragedy or something. No, I'm happy. And they say, well, how come you're so happy? Oh, my wife and I, we're very happy. We live together very peacefully. Everything is lovely. I love her, she loves me. We're happy. I don't want anything more. And then you break the bubble. You say, yes, but you're going to lose your wife. That love is going to be broken. She's going to die. And then it all comes down. It all comes down. Oh yeah. There is unhappiness. So this is tragic. No matter how happy you are in your relationship, you'll lose a loved one. It is not permanent. It's not permanent. I will love you forever. Sorry, that's not the case. My love is eternal. I have all this poetry, all these verses. My love is like an ocean. It never ceases, but actually it does. So even in the Bible, it says that another aspect of love, this is a Bible instruction, actually. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Now, obviously, that is a virtuous thing, that we can actually lay down our life for someone else. It's a very noble thing. We've seen it recently. You no doubt saw this also on the news, maybe you didn't, but the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And you saw all the security men dive on top of him. They were giving their life, if there was more shooters, they were giving their life to protect this man. So again, this is an amazing thing. And similarly, there was another thing on the news. This poor Indian man who recently in New South Wales, the pram slipped from the railway station onto the tracks, and he dove down to save, and he saved one child, but he and another child were killed. So he had so much love that he had to feel this protection. So, it's said that actually in this material world, the closest material love that is the closest to spiritual love is the love that's felt by the mother for her child. Prabhupada says this time and time again, that's the closest we can get, because it is completely a surrendered love. The mother will give everything for the child, doesn't want anything for themselves. It's just they want to give that love to their child and look after their child. So let's talk a little bit about spiritual love. Spiritual love is an amazing thing. And if we can tap into spiritual love, we have the greatest treasure that you can ever possibly imagine. And this is what Krishna is wanting for us, to again re-establish our spiritual love. Hare Bol Mahatmaji. Long time no see. So let's talk a bit about spiritual love. Love is an amazing spiritual love. Now we're talking here about Maya. Maya Devi actually wants us to not have any experience of spiritual love. That's her job. She wants to give you that complete illusion that material love is actually the thing that we should strive for. Spiritual love is not in the equation at all. Her job is to keep you away from spiritual love, because that's the highest love. Because if you develop this spiritual love, as Prabhupada is saying in the purport here, you're out of this material world. You go back home, back to Godhead, if you develop spiritual love. Material love is captivating, lifetime after lifetime, and Maya is determined to keep us here. And this is the nature of this verse here today. Her job is to keep us perpetually wound up, lifetime after lifetime, in an illusion. She's within us. Maya is actually within us, and she knows everything about us. Every little quirk, every little desire that we have, she knows, and she'll play it up every time. She's the agent of the Lord, and she is directed to test our sincerity. Do you really want to love Krishna? Does the jiva really want? She tests us. So as it was mentioned in this verse, the Bhagavad Gita clearly says in 7.14, Devi Esha Gunamaya Mama Maya Dharajya Mayam Evam Paranti Te Mayam Etam Taranti Te. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. It is not an easy job. To get out of this material world is not an easy job. But those who surrender to me and come to me cross over it very easily. So the trick is, as Prabhupada is pointing out here, Maya is controlled by the Supreme Lord. And if we surrender to him, then actually we are mitigating Maya's control. In the purport, Prabhupada says, I'll read the purport, part of it. The Supreme Personality of God has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal, superior nature of the Lord. That's our real constitutional position, but we've forgotten. But due to contamination by inferior nature, material love, material lust, matter and their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddha means eternally conditioned. We're bound up. We haven't got a hope, actually, really. There is no hope for us getting out of this material world except from the mercy of the Supreme Lord. That's the only way we can get out. So as I said, Maya knows everything about us, absolutely everything. Every desire, every weakness, and she will apply force on us through our mind to actually keep us bound in this material world. She's happy that we are bound up. Now you can make a comparison to Maya with the internet or social media in one sense. You know, it's a big thing at the moment, identity theft. You know, it's huge. People are stealing your identity. You all got Facebook accounts or, you know, different accounts online, and people steal your identity. Has it happened to you? Somebody hacks into your computer and steals your identity? Major thing. So Maya is doing this also. She's hacking into you and giving you a false identity. She's stealing your real identity. Your real identity, as Prabhupada is pointing out here, is that you're an eternal servant of Krishna and you belong in the spiritual world. You're eternal. But yet she's saying, no, you've got to stay here. You're Nitya Baddha. You have to be continuously captured in this material world. Her job is to keep us misidentifying ourselves with this material body and the material world. And Prabhupada stressed time and time again, every lecture, you are not this material body. You are a spirit soul. You are a pure spirit soul. This is what we have to drum into ourselves. As much as we may attempt to get out of her clutches, Maya's clutches, you know, it's practically impossible. There is this analogy that is given, that even if we try to get out of material consciousness, out of this material world, there's this image of a person holding on to a tree, which is Maya. You remember that one? And he's saying, I want to go, I want to be free, I want to be free, I want to break free. But he keeps on hanging on to the tree. He keeps on hanging on to Maya. I can't let go, I want to be free, I can't let go. So this is us. In one sense we want to be free, but then in another sense we're holding on as much as we can. So our desires should be, solely and wholly, our desires should be placed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's not just up to us. We are powerless against Maya, and we must seek the shelter and support of the Supreme Lord. That's the only way that we can get out of this material situation. As it said in the purport, subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead who rules everyone, who is equally disposed to all living beings. So Krishna is impartial. He is completely the well-wisher of every living entity. Every living entity. So the Supreme Lord Krishna, as we've read through this section of the Bhagavatam where Lord Brahma is praying and these wonderful prayers. The Lord is omnipresent. He is present everywhere. This is an amazing thing. Actually, just recently I had the opportunity, some of you may have seen this, you know about the James Webb telescope, the recent, they had the Hubble telescope that was going into different regions of the universe. Now there is the James Webb telescope, and the latest pictures from NASA were sent out, and it's available online. And they're seeing universes that they've never seen before, and structures within the universe that is just beyond the understanding of any scientist that's living today. They can't figure out black holes, various things in the universes within universes. It's just incomparable, just unbelievable. And when you see it, there are actually photos of these different universes, millions and billions of light miles away, kilometers away, And you understand that actually Krishna is the source of all these different universes. How powerful is Krishna? How powerful is the Supreme Lord? And yet that same Supreme Lord is so merciful that he comes here to bring us back home. He's residing within your heart. That same personality that is the controller of all these universes, everything that's happening, he is within your heart, and he's also within the deity form of the Lord. When we come before the Lord, do we really see the Lord? Do we really appreciate who we're actually bowing down to? The deity form of Radha Ballabha are no different than the Lord that is the creator of all these universes. I sometimes think about Arjuna's plight when he actually asked to see the universal form of the Lord. Can you imagine yourself in that position? He's been a friend with Krishna, and he thought, Krishna's pretty far out, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he was bewildered, for our sake, of course. He was bewildered by the actual potency of the Supreme Lord. And so he asked the Lord, please, can you show me your universal form? So, getting back to that Webb telescope, Krishna showed him all the power and the energy and of who he is. And Arjuna was so perplexed, he was just so frightened, he was just so overtaken by it. My God, this is the Supreme Lord. And he asked, no, please, can you come back to the form that I can relate to, the form that I can love? And this is Krishna for us, and Krishna resides within us. But we've forgotten to love Krishna. Everyone is dying to love Krishna, but we've just forgotten how to love Krishna. So we desperately need the shelter and direction of the Lord to overcome this Maya. We need the guidance. Because the Lord loves us so much, Krishna can't stand the fact that we're not coming back to him. Krishna, really, he loves us so much, he's just so upset that we want to stay in this Maya, in the clutches of Maya. He wants nothing more for us than to come back home, back to him. He loves us that much. So he has to arrange things sometimes, just like a parent. A parent wants their child to do the things that they want, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And the parent has to say, oh, you can't do that anymore, right? A little slap on the bottom or something, a little bit of punishment. What is it nowadays? Stand in the corner or something, is it? Yeah. And so you have to have some punishment. So Krishna also, as minimal as he can, he gives punishment, either through karma or through having to take birth in a lower species of life, or perhaps having to go to a hellish planet. But the real identity of the living entity, because Krishna says in the last part here that he is completely equal to all living entities. So even if one has to go to hell, it is for our rectification. Even if we have some karma to work off, it is for our rectification. Krishna is our loving father and mother. He wants us to be properly situated in a loving relationship with him, that we do what we should be doing, and that's loving him and serving him. So it's sometimes very difficult, But Krishna wants nothing more than we come back. So in the Christian sense, the Christian says there is eternal hell. Within Vedic philosophy, that's not the case. Everything is temporary. It may seem eternal, but it is temporary. And when we actually come to our senses and render service to Krishna and surrender to Krishna, that time when we had to suffer is like insignificant. We forget all about it. It's like waking up from a bad dream. So we are a constant entrapment in this material world is due to our karma, and hopefully and eventually we will be reformed. So the Lord, in His infinite love for each and every one of us, either comes Himself or comes in the form of an Acharya, a spiritual teacher, to instruct us and hopefully enable us to conquer Maya. But without the help of the Acharyas in our lives, and the mercy of the Supreme Lord also through His teachings, like Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, with the help of them we can overcome Maya. This is really what we can do. So our job is, in this material world, and all of us have done that, most of us, is that we have to find a genuine personality that can actually help in breaking that bond that Maya has over us. We have to find that type of personality, and that means finding a spiritual mentor, a guru, a spiritual teacher. Teachers, plural. You know, it is so important that we have many, many people that are guiding and directing us and teaching us. Now in this world, especially unfortunately at this point of time in history with social media, there are a lot of imposters. There are a lot of people that put themselves up as a show that I know the way. I can break these bonds of Maya, you know, and they look all well and good, but ultimately they have no real power to break that bond that Maya has on you. In fact, they increase the suffering if we go down the path. So we have to be very scrutinizing and really understand who is suitable for me to actually surrender to. Instead of just taking anybody, oh, he wears a really nice turban, he's got a nice flowing white beard, oh, this guy has got such a Shakti, he looks so powerful sitting on the asana. You know, we have to look really deeply. Can this person's instructions really save me from the grip of Maya? And don't be illusioned, because if we go down the rabbit hole and we follow this person who really hasn't got full knowledge of Krishna, who hasn't really got this spiritual love, then we are actually doomed for many, many lifetimes. One time I was involved with an impersonalist group before I became a devotee. And one time I came to the temple, this really dawned on me, it was a sannyasi that told me. He said, you know, if you go down this path, this impersonalist path, you are going to be lost for many, many lifetimes, because there is a certain amount of attraction in the impersonal aspect of God. But you will never break out of this material realm. He says, so think about it seriously. You know, God loves you. God is a real person. He's not just an energy, He is a real person. And He's within you, and He wants you to go back to Him. This personality that is that great source of energy that is everywhere, and the only way that you can break that is by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So I took that to heart and really had a long think about it, because I'd been influenced by different Christian theology, nothing wrong with that, but it could bind you up for a long time, you know, or impersonalists and so on and so forth. And really what we needed was true knowledge. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the mercy of the Vaishnavas, I was able to have that. And consequently, we're struggling now to release ourselves from Maya. So, we're fortunate also, living in this time. We're so fortunate. As the Lord is bestowing special mercy upon us, we sometimes forget this, you know. It's never been easier to be freed from the clutches of Maya. Due to what? The advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gives love of Godhead in bucket loads. He's giving love of Godhead, spiritual love, to each and everybody he comes in contact with. There was no qualifications necessary for anybody and everybody. Sri Chaitanya is described as the following, which was composed by Rupa Goswami: Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Premapadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Guru Vishitwamaha Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya, who is the most merciful incarnation. He has appeared in the golden colour for the purpose of freely distributing pure love of Krishna. Now, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya in 1486 was the beginning of this great Sankirtan movement, the congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The full potency of all of Krishna, that universal energy, that controlling power of everything, is all encapsulated in his holy names. When we chant his names, Krishna is there. So he started this. He's the golden avatar for this degraded age of Kali. Now, his appearance, even his appearance, and this is how lucky we are, his appearance is very, very rare in this world, because he only comes once in the Kali Yuga out of every 1,000, this particular Kali Yuga, out of every 1,000 in Lord Brahma's life. Actually, Lord Krishna also, his original Vrindavan form, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only come once to this universe every 8,640,000,000 human years. And we're in there. We've got this opportunity. It's only been just over 500 years that Lord Chaitanya was here. Our duty, if we want the Lord's mercy, is that we have to be less and less omni-absent. So Lord is omnipresent, we're omni-absent. We're continuously absent of thinking about our connection with the Supreme Lord. And we have to focus on the Lord, be really omnipresent. We also have to be omnipresent, not omni-absent, when we're calling on this technique that Lord Chaitanya has given us, this simple technique. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to wear certain clothes. You don't have to come anywhere. Like I was telling you recently about this man that had, last time, the man had nothing whatsoever to do with the Hare Krishna movement, but somebody gave him a book and he was chanting Hare Krishna, and at the end of his life, all arrangements were made for this person to be chanting at the time of his death. So this was amazing. So you don't have to do anything else. So Lord Chaitanya is offering this example, and we have to be omnipresent. When we chant our rounds in the morning, how many times are we omni-absent? You know, Hare Krishna, what's on my Facebook? Oh, yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, that needs a paint in here, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. So our trick is to get out of here, out of this material world. We have to take so seriously to this process that Lord Chaitanya has given us, and understand that we are so fortunate to be born at this time, you know, that we have this opportunity. Lord Chaitanya is offering for all fallen souls in this Kali Yuga of chanting this holy name of Krishna. In our lives, our sole purpose should be one of surrendering everything to the Lord, absolutely everything, in spiritual love. So instead of material love, we should be developing this spiritual love, this love of surrender, giving everything to the Lord. How do we do that in our lives? It's quite interesting, really. There are different categories. First of all, in our lives, we have relationships. Bring spiritual love into your relationships. Not one of what can you do for me, it's more what can I do for you. What's the greatest thing that you can do for someone is to also give them Krishna consciousness. Somehow or other, influence the person, encourage the person to become a devotee of Krishna, to introduce them to the chanting of Lord Chaitanya's Maha Mantra. Somehow or other, by befriending people, relationships with other devotees, bringing spiritual love into the relationship with other devotees, loving all your God brothers and sisters. You may not be able to get on with everybody, and that's just a clash of personalities sometimes. But you have to offer love to everyone. Have you ever actually sat and looked around in your congregation and wondered, who are these people? Who are these people? They're such advanced personalities. The other day, I was watching this interview with Elon Musk, probably one of the smartest brained people on the planet at the moment, and a guy called Jonathan, was it Dr.? You know him. He's, I just can't think of his name at the moment. He's everywhere on different YouTube clips and everything. And he debates with Richard Dawkins and all the, Jonathan, no, I can't think of his name. Anyway, these two guys, he's a philosopher, and we have Elon Musk. And they were discussing consciousness. What is consciousness? In other words, what is the soul? They had no idea. No idea. They're speculating from one end to the other. Well, I think spirituality is is about questioning things. And that's all we have to do. We have to question. They had no comprehensive understanding of what consciousness is. Now, these are the smartest, so-called smartest people on the planet. And then we have people like you sitting here in a Bhagavatam class who know what consciousness is, who know that the Supreme Lord is the greatest personality that we should surrender to, who know the power of Maya. You know, these men were speculating the hell, and yet these are so-called the leaders in our society. Actually, the leaders in our society are you people that are sitting right here, because you know the truth. And you can present that truth to everyone. So in our life, we have to see that the people that we are associating with in our Krishna consciousness movement are very, very special people. And we have to give all spiritual love to those people. That means also, like, you know, when we do kirtan sometimes we say, from the heart, chant from the heart. So you can actually utilize it, like I was saying in the beginning, that the brain will send dopamines and feel-good chemicals to your heart. Similarly, it happens that because of spiritual love, those dopamines will also come, but they're spiritual dopamines, because your heart will open up to loving Krishna. So we have to love one another in a very genuine way, really a giving way, opening up our heart, doing everything we can for another person. Being exceptionally friendly is the key. And when we actually make a point of that and we surrender to that, you have an impact on people. You know, sometimes if I'm doing interfaith programs and stuff, you know, people say, gee, I really appreciate your friendliness. So it's important that we have that. So that's in our life. We have spiritual love within our life. Spiritual love within our love. Spiritual love within our love. We have people in this world that we are even closer to than just the associates that we have in our Krishna consciousness. We have people that we love. We have a material, loving relationship with our life partner, with our children, with our family. So we give spiritual love to those people as well. We raise our children as best we can in a Krishna conscious way. We have a relationship with our life partner in a spiritual, loving relationship. It's not a lusty relationship. It's not a material loving thing where you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. We have a loving relationship in that we're promoting one another in our spiritual journey, encouraging and enthusing one another to break the bonds that Maya has on each other. And so in our relationship with our family, even if our family may not be Krishna conscious, still in a spiritual loving way, we can actually encourage them to take up a little bit more of Krishna consciousness. As I said many times before, my father, in the beginning, when we came to Krishna consciousness in the 70s, he was averse to us becoming devotees. He couldn't understand it. He's coming from a Christian background. But we maintained a spiritual loving relationship with my relatives, with my family. And at the end, and my father and I my father would constantly be inquiring about, how does this relate to Christianity? How does Lord Chaitanya's teachings relate to the teachings of Jesus? And we said he was just another avatar, another instructing guru to get us out of the clutches of Maya. And I explained it over and over, and then finally, at the time of his passing, the day before his passing, he actually turned to me and said, I never thought that my own son would be my teacher. And then he passed away. So this is giving spiritual love to your family. So we need that spiritual love within our life as well. Then there's spiritual love in our learning. In our learning, we have to have spiritual love in our learning. We learn about Krishna through the Shastra. We have to make a point of actually studying Prabhupada's books and the Acharya's books. We have to really learn and listen to lectures and absorb ourselves, because our mind is so fickle. It will jump from one thing to the other and be distracted by so many things. Maya is so captivating, you know. Have a look at that. Did you see that on YouTube? Did you see that thing? And she drags you away. But if you can say, no, actually, I don't want to watch that on YouTube. I want to hear another pastime of Srila Prabhupada. I want to hear another lecture by another spiritual mentor. Instead of listening to some gossip thing, you know, maybe I'll listen to Wisdom of the Sages. Anybody ever listen to the Wisdom of the Sages? Very, very powerful preaching, but in the very normal way. They are making such inroads, giving spiritual love to groups of people, and then taking them on pilgrimage. People that have nothing ever to do with coming to a temple, but they start chanting, they start becoming friends with devotees. This is spiritual love. So by spiritual learning, there are so many different ways. Similarly, we can apply spiritual love when we learn from our university studies to become a professional. We're not doing it for our own self-aggrandizement. It's not that, oh, I'm going to be a professor, or I'm going to be a nuclear physicist, or I'm going to be a dentist, or I'm going to be a physician or something. No, you're going to be a professional person to help other people. And I have to say, quite frankly, you know, especially we have one dentist here in our community who does service to the devotees. And I won't mention any names, but it's just a giving thing. She just, with spiritual love, she helps people. And it's you can feel it. It's just a wonderful thing. So in our learning, we also have to apply this principle of transcendental love, spiritual love. In our labor, also, we have to give spiritual love to. We have to work, don't we? We need to put bread on the table. We have to work. But in the same token, who are we working for? If we understand that, okay, I'm working for this guy who's the CEO of a company, but more so, who's controlling the CEO? Who's controlling the managing director? It's Krishna. Who's providing all the finance for this company to be prosperous? It's Krishna. So let me work, I'm working for Krishna. And by the grace of this guy, he's giving me some wage that I can keep body and soul together. And similarly, I can give something to Krishna consciousness also. I can give something back to the Supreme Lord. It is incumbent upon us, if we're earning an income, that we give something back. And so this is in offering spiritual love, transcendental love through labor, and serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Somehow or other, we have to see that in our lives, the Acharya has given us so much, Srila Prabhupada has given us so much. Again, 8 billion years, you know, we've pointed out. We're so rare. So Prabhupada has come, he's through his own generosity, he's come to this material world. He didn't have to come. I often think about this, you know, a person in the spiritual world. What on earth would tempt you to come back to this rotten place, this earth planet? How merciful is a person who is with Krishna, completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in the pastimes of Krishna, and Krishna asked that person, could you please come to this material world and save these fallen souls who I love just as much as I love you, but they're so completely captured by Maya, can you please help them and save them? And so this personality who has no reason to be here comes here for us, for each and every one of us, to pull us away from Maya, to give us the opportunity to develop spiritual love. So it is our duty also to then reward or reciprocate. And we have to do some work for the organization that this Acharya has set up. So in any way we can, we do some service. Service is the key, service and association. Somehow or other, if I can mix with the people that are within the society and show spiritual love to them, and also if I can work in this society and do something, anything, clean the yard, pull out the weeds, do anything, or if there is a centre somewhere, help with the centre. It's interesting, the other day I was talking to someone and they were saying how some of the devotees are so keen to actually do service on the altar. You know, I want to get my Brahman, Prabhu, I want to get my Brahman, I want to go on the altar, I want to do arti. And then they get the Brahman initiation, and then they're fighting to actually do a puja, you know, some sort of an arti here or there, or what to speak of actually having an opportunity to address the deities. But then someone asked them, Prabhu, could you come and do some service in the kitchen? Oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that. And so what's happening at this temple is there's a shortage of cooks in the kitchen. Did you know that? There's a shortage of cooks. Because people are thinking, oh, I'm a Brahmin, I should be waving incense at the deities. But cooking for the Lord is as important, if not more important, than doing the arti for the deities. Because what is it? If you're again, is that material love or is it spiritual love? You know, I love being a pujari. I love being a Brahmin. Look at me. I am a Brahmin. I've got a wonderful Brahmin thread. I've got beautiful dhoti and I'm so nicely dressed here and I'm doing so nice. Is it that? Or are you really genuine? You have to, Maya is so captivating. She'll get any little thing that can niggle you and that'll keep you. So we're making a plea for those people that have achieved Brahman. Help those older devotees that are in, there's one sitting over there straight away, he knows what I'm talking about. One of the cooks. Yeah, you. And they want to have some help. They need help. So, you know, whatever can be done. There are so many things. We're getting our Rath Yatra cart coming here. Zach, there's some service coming up for us, Prabhu. It's coming unpainted. So we may have to do a bit of, you know, transcendental love there too, spiritual love to make that look really good. So, and then we've got other pastimes that are happening. We've got Janmashtami coming up and people are looking for volunteers to help out in so many different ways. We want to make it so successful. Janmashtami is a wonderful festival, it's a wonderful presentation. And not only here at the temple, but now it's spreading all over Melbourne. We're expecting in the western suburbs 10,000 people to come for Janmashtami. We've hired out a sports stadium, you know, a huge sports stadium in North Altona to accommodate 10,000 people. You know, we've got up in in Berwick area, you know, southeastern suburbs. Again, they're expecting 7,000 people to come there. We need volunteers. This is your opportunity to render spiritual love. Just give of yourself. Spiritual love means surrender. Yes, I'll do it. Krishna wants me to do it, I'll do it. Prabhupada had no qualm about coming to this rotten material world. Krishna said, you want to come? Please come, do this for me. I'll come. We're only asking that you help out in Janmashtami, you know. And then the wonderful program that we've got, the cultural event. where all these kids people have been working on these wonderful plays. There's 20 different performances happening. And it's all in presentation, and people are coming. There's some prominent people. Our dear friend Ted Ballieu is coming again. He sent me a message. He said, Bhakta, I would love to come. His health is not good, he said, but I'll try my darndest to get there. And you know, Nina Taylor, who's the local representative, is coming. The Consul General is coming. The leader or the chairperson of the Victorian Multicultural Commission is coming. The deputy leader of the Islamic community is coming. People from all different faith traditions. Bishop Huggins is coming. Different Mayavad sannyasis are coming. Everybody's coming, and they're going to see pastimes of Krishna that have been lovingly done with spiritual love. It is saturated with love, and it affects you when you see the work that's been done with love like that. The other one, the final point, is we have to put our spiritual love, our transcendental love, also in laughter. Krishna consciousness is not a dull thing. Krishna consciousness is a fun thing. Prabhupada used to say it's a festival at every moment. We have to look at Krishna consciousness like that. It is not a dull thing. If it's a dull thing for you, Maya has got the grip on you. If it's a dull thing for you, if it's a boring thing for you, you have to analyze, well, how's Maya got a grip on me? But it's a fun thing. We have to laugh in Krishna consciousness. We have to enjoy ourselves in Krishna consciousness. How do we do that? By spreading this Sankirtan movement. There's nothing more satisfying than somehow or other spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being a representative of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Standing on the street as a representative of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and saying, anybody want his mercy? Anybody want his love? I'm here, I'll help you. This is the great, and then someone comes and takes it. Your heart is filled with love. You can't describe this feeling. It's just like, wow. Because Krishna is saturating with your love. Oh, he's done this for me. You feel it. Doing book distribution. Doing prasadam distribution. My greatest enjoyment in life was when I was running Gopal's Vegetarian Restaurant for 7 years. And every day it was a joy, with Korma and myself, serving people that have had nothing to do with material life, with spiritual life. And all of a sudden you get an opportunity to serve them prasadam, and they appreciate it. Korma and I used to be at one side, I'd be over near the till and he'd be over this side. And we would be filled with ecstasy. He would look at me and I would look at him, and we got it, you know. It was so enthralling to have that connection. So we have to laugh. You know, recently we were with friends and we started relating some of the Sankirtan stories that we used to have here in Melbourne Temple, because it wasn't always possible for us to do book distribution. But we had to raise funds for this temple, to build this temple and to build Mayapur, so we had to do paraphernalia sales. And some of you may know this and some of you may not, but we used to have to sell things to the public to encourage them to give money so that we could maintain this temple. It wasn't just on book sales. It's really interesting. And so, you know, we used to work really hard. We used to sell candles, and recently at the management meeting I showed a picture of the Hawaiian candles that we used to have. Do you remember the Hawaiian candles at all, Gopa? They were these candles that were made and you folded them, and technically what should happen is that they glow in the middle. They burn down the middle and then they glow out the sides. They're really beautiful sort of things. What actually used to happen was they used to burn down the middle and they used to flow out the sides. The wax would sometimes melt and it would all go. But we had so many challenges, you know, and so many competitions. But those competitions were fun. We loved it. It was just so much excitement, you know. Like we have marathons where we did these sales, whatever paraphernalia we had, and then at night time we would come back at around about 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and the temple president would be up the top there, and you come back and you say, oh, I've collected so much. And he said, well, Bhakta such and such did this much. Do you reckon you can beat him? Yes, I can beat him. And then at 12 o'clock, you're back in the car and you go out and try and sell something again. 12 o'clock at night. You know, we were driving in the streets and you'd see a light in somebody's house and you'd knock on, oh, you must be awake. So you'd knock on the door, hi, I'm just in the area and I'm selling this. Oh yeah, okay. Or we'd go to pubs or so many different places to try and sell. And it's fun. Or you're in kirtan, saturated with transcendental love, saturated with spiritual love. We go on kirtan, and in the 70s, people really didn't like us. You know, they would do anything to stop us. You know, but we didn't care. It was fun, you know. So you have to have laughter. You have to have laughter. Just like we see in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. He had fun with his associates. They would laugh over prasadam and have fun at food fights and everything. Lord Nityananda and Founder-Acharya, was it? They were throwing food at each other. You know, so not that we do that. Don't do that. But, you know, it's fun to take prasadam, you know, to have delicious... Who cooks like the devotees? There's nothing like prasadam. So I'd like to finish up with the pastimes of Haridas Thakur, who actually defeated Maya. So, you know, most of you know the story of Haridas Thakur. There was the king, the Nawab, who wanted to get rid of Haridas Thakur and discredit him as being a saintly person, and so he sent a prostitute. And then also Maya herself came to Haridas Thakur. And this is an amazing story. It was a full moon night, and he was staying in a solitary place by the side of the Ganges in a little cave, where he went, and she came and went to him and prayed, I see that you are the most beautiful man in the entire world. And you can see that I'm also very beautiful. Just look at me for a moment. This is Maya Devi, right? So isn't this the way the material world goes? You know, just look at me. So Haridas Thakur was absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not just like that, but fully absorbed in love. He only felt the love for Krishna, right? Filled with love. She'd spent the entire night, because he told her, listen, yes, I really appreciate you, very beautiful and everything, but I've got my 300,000, what is it, 300? Yeah, 300,000 names a day. So I'm more than happy to satisfy your desires. He's being friendly, but I have to finish my rounds. And so she said, okay. So she waited the entire night and constantly speaking nice words to him. Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so renounced, you know, all this kind of stuff. But he kept on, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Finally, at the end of the night, and at the end of the third day, she came back 3 times in a row. The third day, she said to him with folded palms, Haridas Thakur, I am personally Maya Devi, the illusory entity of the Lord. I've cheated so many others, great personalities, I've cheated them. I'm that same, but I am defeated by you. I am defeated by you. I'm the same Maya, and now I'm begging for your mercy. Please be pleased with me. I want to be initiated into chanting of the mantra. Please, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, please initiate me. This is Maya Devi. So Maya cannot be overcome unless Krishna withdraws her. He withdraws Maya Devi when he sees the sincerity of how we chant our rounds. That is the panacea. We should make every endeavor that all of our action, all our thoughts, all our words are directed to the Lord in transcendental spiritual love. It's a metaphysical thing. It's something that we don't talk about that much in Krishna consciousness. It's a metaphysical, it's a spiritual, transcendental thing. It's a deep involvement, a deep love. We have to feel that love within our heart for Krishna. That nothing else matters but Krishna. Mam mana bhava mad bhakto mam jaji mam namaskuru. Engage your mind always, Bhagavad Gita 9:34, in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer my obeisances to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Krishna says, it's a guarantee. So absorbed in love, spiritual love, everlasting love. And Prabhupada, to finish up, Prabhupada said this really amazing quote when he first came to the West. This was back in New York, in Thompson Square Park. He said, I've come not to give you something new. I've come just to remind you what you have forgotten. To remind you what you have forgotten. We all have forgotten that we belong with Krishna, belong with that little blue boy who is all loving, all caring, loves you more than you can ever possibly imagine. And yet that small little blue boy is the controller of all the universes. So when you come before the deities here, imagine in your mind the power of Krishna and how it's focused and localized in the deity form here, and that you have an opportunity to fall at the feet of Krishna and call out his holy name and pray to him that he helps you to be released from Maya's grip. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Any comments or questions at all, Prabhus? Hey, we haven't got our little girl here. That was a very nice class, Prabhu. She's so good. Who is she? This little kid. I mean, we shouldn't talk about it, but who is she really? I mean, she's what, 13 years old, and she has such realizations. I listen to class every morning on YouTube, right? Every morning, you know. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for a beautiful class. And then she asks the most profound question. Even the sannyasis turn around and go, wow, that's a really good question. Have you noticed? Who is these people in Krishna consciousness? Who are you all, you know? We should be falling at everybody's feet, you know, really. Sorry, Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Bhaktadas, thank you very much for a wonderful class. So inspiring, so inspiring. And as they say, sadhu sang, sarv siddhi hoye, love mat sadhu sang, sarv siddhi hoye. So this is the main thing.
Wonderful.
Thank you. So just an only comment, no question. Thank you.
Actually, the first time I saw Srila Prabhupada was when I was on TV. I came home from school, right? And he was on the midday show. He was arriving in the Rolls Royce and they were making comments. And I thought, wow, he's really special. And just by having that thought, later on I would become his disciple, you know. Just amazing, his grand disciple. Not very grand, but you know what I mean. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your class. Dandavat Pranams. I just had one question, Prabhu. You've touched on a few points. I guess the big one that comes to mind for me is knowing your devotees, being brought up in the movement. I probably won't go too much into detail, but coming to temple here, probably since COVID, prior to that was Auckland-based. I think, from my experience, Prabhu, you've mentioned going into the kitchen, doing service. I was in normal clothes, so I'm just going to give you a bit of a scenario. And I got told that you can't go in because that devotee did not know who I was, where I was from, who my parents were, what my background was, and so forth. And then touching upon, I think Prabhu here is doing deity worship, gave a class on not judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, the few and far in between devotees or advanced devotees like yourself, one that left his body in the beginning of the year, if you know who I'm talking about, from New Zealand as well, that kind of deal with you on a face value, but also understand who you are, where you're from, like you talked about Sylvie, understanding who she is as a personality. I guess my question is, how do you go about this from an interaction perspective on your day-to-day sadhana with devotees?
Yeah, you have to be very mindful. You have to be a thinking person, you know. Sometimes you have to step outside the realm of rules and regulations sometimes, you know. So in a situation that happened to you, I mean, there's certain etiquette within the kitchen that's there, but in the same token, you have to understand, okay, what's the history of this person? So, in a friendly sort of way, someone could have asked you about your history, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of judging straight off the bat, okay, this person's not qualified. So, we have to be really careful about how we deal with devotees. It's a very important point they're bringing up. We have to be exceptionally respectful to everybody that comes to this temple. This temple is like the heart of this whole state. This is the hub of spiritual knowledge. Everything else is superfluous. This is it. Right? So if anybody walks through the gate here, that person is very special, because Prabhupada and Krishna have sent them here. So somehow or other we should be very gentle in our dealings with people. That's all I can perhaps suggest. There was one person here one time and we had to chastise him. He was a Prabhupada disciple and he had difficulties, and he used to stand at the front gate. And this is how much we can still be in illusion, because he thought that if there's too many people coming here, there wouldn't be enough prasadam for him. So he would sit at the front gate and say, "Go home, get out of here, nothing here, go home." So we had to address that situation. So Prabhupada also says that this place is a hospital in one sense. You know, people are coming from all different areas of life and different, difficulties. So we have to be very mindful. The thing that you learned from it, though, is that you'll never make that same mistake because it happened to you. So when you see this situation, and you will be put in that situation, you'll know how to act, because you won't do it that same way as you will treat it. Is that correct?
Yes, Prabhu. I mean, I see you as like one of the examples. I probably won't go too much into it, but I think the other thing that comes to mind is, as devotees, apart from being spiritually intelligent or intellectually capable, I think the other quality that some devotees need to obviously improve on, including myself, everybody, is emotional intelligence as well. Understanding your surroundings, who you're with, how you interact. Prabhupada always used to say the face is the index to the mind. Mm-hmm. So, when you look at someone coming into the temple, like you talked about, I see it all the time, probably even Mangalarti today. They want to be in the DD room. You can just see it. The energy is different.
Yeah.
I'm in sales, Prabhu, so I read people quite well as well. And you understand, and well, this guy's puffed up.
Oh, don't do that.
No, but you think that, Prabhu, because they're behaving in such a way.
That also is Maya's grip. Maya's got you there.
I agree.
By thinking negative or another. So add spiritual love to it.
Okay.
Add spiritual love to it. Don't even entertain that. Just glorify that person, irrespective. Don't see the negatives.
Okay.
You have to add that in. You cannot. She'll come in all different ways. I'm telling you, she is so ruthless. And you may think that this is the right thing to think, but it's not. And you have to check yourself. I can't think that of that person. I don't know what's making his makeup or anything.
Creeps up once in a while.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other comments or questions? Any of the ladies, any comments or questions? Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for very, very wonderful class. Lot of points to take, and thank you for that. Prabhuji, just small question. You said about sages, sages or something. I missed that. To like Acharya's lectures to listen, and something there was a point. Okay.
Huh?
Wisdom of sages. Okay.
Oh, wisdom of the sages.
Yeah. No, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Raghunath is a really exceptional sort of person. He had a punk rock band. A spiritual, filled with spiritual love, punk rock band. And he, back in the 80s, right? And, Shelter. And this man was just exceptional. He preached Krishna consciousness. Punk rock, right? Have you heard of punk rock? No? No, in the West, they had, you have grunge. It's like really, you know what grunge is, right, don't you? Yeah. And really down earth. And he used to have this punk rock band that was just like a punk rock, you know, like, but he would be preaching. The songs that he was singing was preaching. So now what he's doing is he and Kastuba, who is an educator in the Bhakti Center in New York, they've got this podcast where they interview different people every single day. They take a verse from Bhagavatam and they discuss it, just like normal discussion between people, but it encourages people. And then they go on retreats with the people that that are interested. And Radhanath Swami and all the different different gurus, they all come, and Indradumna Maharaj and that, he interviews them all. Just amazing. And he's making inroads into this whole podcast, social media platform. Huge. To the extent that, anybody know Joe Rogan? You know Joe Rogan, right? Yeah, he's probably the most important podcast personality. And Hare Krishna. And he interviewed Raghunath. He's a friend of his. They used to wrestle together. And, you know, for about a 2-hour conversation about Bhagavad Gita. Now, his audience is something like 30 million people. And Raghunath was just preaching full on, but in a way that was filled with spiritual love, that wasn't condescending, that wasn't putting people down, it was just encouraging, you know. So nice. If you get a chance, have a listen. It's wonderful, really good. It's for young people, you know, but I consider myself reasonably young and I still listen to it.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Okay. All right. Srila Prabhupada, do you have a question, Mataji? No. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.